Hello distinguished students, I hope you are doing great. I welcome you all to the grade 9 online classes tutorial video with Dr. Peter at Knowledge World Academy. So in today's video, we will look at the introductory topic in integrated science, the human reproductive system. The interesting part about the video is that there are examination past paper questions of which I have provided you guys with solutions. It's your tutor, Mr. Peter, and without waste of time, let us begin. So in this unit, we'll go ahead and look at the function of the male sex organ. So here is the diagram. We just simply need to know the function of all parts found on the on the diagram, as it will assist us answer exam past paper questions. So we need to know the function of the bladder, the sperm duct, the urethra, so on and so forth. So we start. What is the function of the penis? So the function of the penis is just simply to deposit sperm and the passage of what? Of urine. Okay? Deposit sperm and the passage of what? Of urine. We move to the urethra. The urethra allows urine to pass from the bladder or sperm to pass from the what? From the testes. So let me just make it simple. So here is our urethra. I'll draw it in red. Here is our urethra. So we need to know that. So this point is saying that the urethra, it is a passage of urine. At the same time, the same urethra is the passage of what? Of sperm from the what? From the testes. Okay. So here is the bladder. Urine from the bladder will pass through the what? The urethra, and sperm from the testes will pass through the sperm duct and join the what? The urethra. No wonder we are saying the function of the urethra, it is a passage of urine and passage of what? Of sperm. We move to the testes. What is the function of the testicles? So the function of the testes is to produce sperm which fertilize the what? The egg. To produce sperm which fertilize the egg. We'll look at fertilization in another video as we go ahead. The function of the epididymis. The function of the what? Of the epididymis. So here is our epididymis. What is the function of the what? Of the epididymis? So the function of the epididymis is to store sperm and allow them to what? To mature. The function of the testes, the epididymis, is to store sperm and allow sperm mature. We move to the next point, which is the scrotum. What is the function of the what? Of the scrotum. What is the function of the scrotum? So the scrotum is simply a layer that protects the testes. Okay, it's simply a layer that protects the what? The testes. So what's the function of the scrota? So it contains and protects testes. Then that's all, as simple as that. The function of the sperm duct. The function of the sperm duct is the passage of sperm from the testes to the urethra. From the testes to the urethra. The function of the prostate gland. The function of the what? The prostate gland. Here is our prostate gland. Here is our prostate gland. So what is the function of the prostate gland? It makes some fluid for semen. It's simply it adds fluid to the what? To the semen. Okay. The function of the prostate gland is to add fluid to the what? To the semen. So when we say semen, it simply contains different kinds of fluid added by the prostate gland, by the testes. Yeah, just like that. So that's all about this unit. Let us look at another diagram in the next unit. So in this unit, we now look at a different thing, which is the function of the female reproductive organ. The function of the female reproductive organ. We start the ovaries. What is the function of the ovaries? The function of the ovaries, it is a site of reproduction of eggs. That's where eggs are what? Are produced. So eggs are produced at this point. The function of the fallopian tube, passage of the ova from the ovary to the what? To the uterus. Okay. So once an ova, which is also called an egg, once an ova is made at the ovaries, and then it's ready to be fertilized. When I say ready, simply means once it meets with a sperm, then fertilization will occur. So once the ova has been made here, the ova will pass through the fallopian tube and enters the what? The uterus. Okay. So the function of the fallopian tube, it is the passage of what? Of the ova. At the same time, the function of the fallopian tube, it is a site for fertilization. That's where fertilization takes place. We move to the uterus. So the function of the uterus, it is a site of development of the embryo into a baby. The function of the cervix, supply the vagina with mucus for lubrication during sexual intercourse. Okay, that is the function of the what? The cervix. It simply provides mucus that helps in terms of lubrication during sexual intercourse. The function of the vagina, is to receive sperm during sexual intercourse. The function of the vagina is to simply receive sperm during sexual intercourse. And that's all about this unit. Now we move to the next unit, which is talking about fertilization and embryo development. Fertilization and embryo development. So we need to know the function of the amnion, the placenta, the umbilical cord. Okay, so we start with the amnion. So the amnion contains fluid, which is also called amniotic fluid, where the embryo floats. It protects the embryo from damage. Okay, so the amnion, most people confuse amnion and amniotic fluid. So amnion is simply a membrane. Okay, it's simply a membrane that surrounds the amniotic fluid. It's more like, let's say, I'll give a practical example for you to understand. Let's say you get a plastic bag and then you fill the plastic with water. Okay, that water won't fall down, it won't spill. Why? Because the plastic is holding the water. So that plastic is acting as the amnion, and then the water is acting as the amniotic fluid. So the amnion is just simply the membrane that surrounds the amniotic fluid. Okay, and then the function of the amniotic fluid, we are simply saying it protects the baby from from mechanical shock or external shock. Let's say a mother is pregnant, and then let's say she falls from stairs. You discover that the mother will be affected, but the baby won't be affected. Why? Because of the presence of the amniotic fluid. The presence of the amniotic fluid enables the baby not to be affected from mechanical shock. We'll look at that in the next video. And then we'll move to the placenta. So the placenta is just simply the site of exchange of gases, at the same time the site of exchange of of materials. Okay, so let's say, I'll give an example again. The fetus and the mother are a little bit separated. Okay, what connects the fetus and the mother? It is the placenta. Okay, let's say the mother eats food, and then that food will reach the fetus. Okay, that food will reach the fetus, but there will be exchange of materials at the placenta. There will be exchange of materials at the placenta. Okay, the baby needs oxygen, the mother will inhale, that oxygen will reach the baby, but it will pass through the placenta. Exchange of gases, exchange of materials, they take place at the placenta. Then we move to the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord, which is simply an organ that receives food and oxygen from the mother's blood. It also acts as a passage for waste products from the embryo into the mother's bloodstream. Okay, so here is our umbilical cord. We have the umbilical cord there, which is also connecting the fetus to the placenta. The umbilical cord is just simply connecting there. The function of the umbilical cord, we are saying that it receives food from the mother bloodstream to the fetus. At the same time, waste products from the fetus will also pass through the umbilical cord and enter the mother's bloodstream. Okay, so we just need to know the function of the umbilical cord. Okay, the function of the umbilical cord, it is just an organ that receives food from the mother and the removal of waste products from the fetus. We move to the placenta. The placenta is simply the site of exchange of gases and other materials. The function of the amnion is simply it contains or is simply a membrane that surrounds the amniotic fluid. And in the amniotic fluid, this is a fluid that protects the baby from mechanical shock. It also provides a suitable environment for the development of the embryo. Okay, there are a lot of functions of the amniotic fluid. There are a lot. So you do well to ask me questions. The function of the amniotic fluid, if you need more, just simply ask me. I'll provide. Now we move to the next unit. So now here comes the interesting part. Having looked at the male reproductive organ, the female reproductive organ, having discussed on the amnion, the amniotic fluid, placenta, and umbilical cord, now we move ahead to exam past paper question. We'll use the same idea on what we have explained in the previous unit to answer exam past paper questions. Okay, the first exam past paper question. Question 1. The diagram below shows a side view of the male reproductive organ. Question A. Identify the part marked G and I. Identify part marked G and I. So we go to the diagram, we locate where part G is. Our part G is here. Where is our part I? Our part I is here. So you can pause the video since I explained this in the first unit. Then you can compare your answers with my answers. So part G we are saying is the urethra. Part I is simply the scrotum. Okay. Part G the urethra. Part I the scrotum. We move to question B. State the function of part marked J. State the function of part marked J. So part marked J is the epididymis. What's the function of the epididymis? Is to store sperm and allow sperm mature. We move to question C. Explain what would happen if part K was to be tied. If part K was to be tied. So where is part K? Part K is here, which is the sperm duct. Now, if part K was to be tied, what will happen? Okay, so we are saying if part K, which is the sperm duct, was to be tied, sperm would not be released by the by the penis. Okay, sperm won't reach even the urethra. Why? Because the sperm duct is tight, and then we know that the function of the sperm duct, it is a passage of sperm from the testis to the urethra. As simple as that. We'll move to question D. State 2 signs of puberty in boys. State 2 signs of puberty in boys. So you can just simply say pubic hair grow, deepening of the voice, the male sex organ grow bigger, the shoulders grow larger and wider. So you also need to understand the word puberty. So the word puberty simply means it is a stage in human life cycle where organs of the reproductive system mature. Then you have answered question 1. If you are able to answer question A to D based on what we have explained, then you are good to go. We move to the next question. Question 2. Question 1. The diagram below shows the male reproductive system. Question A. Label the part marked A and D. Label the part marked A and D. Though I have not explained this in the first unit, they are very much simple. Part A, we can just simply say it is the bladder, and part D, we are simply saying it is the epididymis. We move to question B. What are the functions of the part marked B and D? What is the function of the part marked B and D? They're just simply repeating the same questions over and over. So part B, passage through which urine and sperm pass through, because we know that part B is the urethra, and part D, we know that part D is the epididymis. What's the function of the epididymis? Store sperm and allow sperm mature. We move to question C. Identify 2 challenges associated with puberty in male. Identify 2 challenges associated in puberty in male. So shoulders get wider, voice deepen, penis enlargement, so on and so forth. Question 3. Question 1. The diagram below shows the front view of the female reproductive system. Question A. Label the part marked P and R. Label the part marked P and R. So part P is the placenta, then part R, the ovary. So part P, the placenta here, and then we have R, the ovary there. Part P, placenta, part R, the ovary. Question B. What do you understand by the term fertilization? What do you understand by the term fertilization? So fertilization is simply the joining of the male sex cell, which is the sperm, and the female sex cell, which is the egg, to form a zygote. Okay, and then we move to question C. Which represents the part where fertilization takes place? So I remember I said something about this in the first unit, in the first or second unit. Where does fertilization takes place? So fertilization takes place in the oviduct, which is also called the fallopian tube. We move to question D. Give 2 challenges associated with puberty in girls when they reach puberty. So the first menstrual cycle, the hips get wider, the breast develop. As simple as that. We move to question E. Describe 2 ways of keeping the reproductive system clean. Describe 2 ways of keeping the reproductive system clean. Wear sanitary towels, bathing with clean water. Okay, so this question, get this question clear. Describe 2 ways of keeping. The main keyword here is keeping the reproductive system clean. There is another question similar to this one, which says state the importance of keeping the reproductive system clean. Okay, so you can just simply say to avoid infections, to avoid diseases. Okay, like gentle words, yeah, something like that. Okay, question 4. Question 1 reads, study the diagram below showing the male and the female reproductive system. So you can pause the video, try to answer these questions, and then you compare the answers. Question A. Identify the organ labeled M and P. Identify the organ labeled M and P. So part labeled M, we are saying the cervix. Part labeled P, the epididymis. Question B. What are the reproductive functions of part marked L and N? So L, we are saying L are ovaries. What is the function of the ovary? To produce and release eggs, which are also called ova. And then N, which is the urethra, carries sperm from the sperm duct. We move to question C. On the diagram, which letter shows where fertilization takes place? Which letter shows where fertilization takes place? Okay, so fertilization takes place in the part, the body K, which is also called the fallopian tube. We move to part D, question D. How long is the gestation period in human being? How long is the gestation period? So gestation is simply the period during conception and birth. The period when a person becomes pregnant until the person gives birth. So now, how long We know that it's 9 months, which is equal to 40 weeks and equivalent approximately 270 to 280 days. Okay, so sometimes it's not exact, but you can just approximate. Okay, then we have answered question 4. Question 5. Question 1. The diagram below shows part of the female reproductive organ. You can pause the video, try to attempt this question, then compare your answers. Question A. Name the labeled part marked P, Q, and R. Part marked P, Q, and R. Okay, so they want you to label them. What are the names? We start. Part P, the oviduct or the fallopian tube. Okay, then part Q, we are saying part Q is the uterus. Then part R is the cervix. So we have labeled part P, Q, and R, of which we also know the function of each. We move to question B. In which labeled part does fertilization take place? So they're just simply repeating the same questions over and over again. So where does fertilization takes place? Where does fertilization takes place? So fertilization takes place in part P, which is the oviduct, which is also called the fallopian tube. We move to question C. State one function of the part labeled R. State one function of the part labeled R. So we know that the part labeled R is the cervix, of which I gave the function in the first or second unit. I said that it provides mucus, which helps in lubrication during sexual intercourse. The function of the cervix is to provide mucus, which helps in lubrication during sexual intercourse. Then we move to question D. State one importance of observing personal hygiene of the reproductive system. So this question has now finally come. Okay, so avoid infections of the reproductive organ. Okay, question 6. Question 1. Study the diagram below showing a stage in the fetus development. Question A. Name the part labeled K and L. Part K is the umbilical cord. Part L, the amnion, though it's not looking that clear. Okay, we move to question B. Describe the function of liquid N. Describe the function of liquid N. So they've already given us a leakage. They've already mentioned the word liquid. So we are simply talking about the amniotic fluid. So what's the function of the amniotic fluid? So the function of the amniotic fluid, it protects the embryo or fetus from damage and external shock. Apart from that, it provides a suitable environment for the development of the embryo. We move to question C. State one substance other than gas which moves in the direction of the arrow. Which moves in the direction of the arrow apart from gas. So as you can see that arrow there, that arrow is simply giving us the information that the substance was moving from the mother's bloodstream to the what? To the fetus bloodstream. So which substance moves in that direction apart from gas? Okay, so we can say food from the mother. We move to question D. In which labeled part does gaseous exchange occur between the mother and the fetus? Very simple. It's part M, which is the placenta. Gases and food from the mother enters the what? The fetus through the placenta. The placenta is the part where exchange of materials such as gas and food takes place. We move to question E. Explain why the mother at this stage requires a special diet which includes protein and carbohydrates. So a pregnant woman needs protein for normal growth of the fetus and needs carbohydrates for energy needed to carry the baby. Energy needed to carry the baby. Okay, we move to question 7. The following diagram shows a developing fetus in the uterus? Question A. Label blood vessel P and Q. Label blood vessel P and Q. So blood vessel P is the umbilical artery. Blood vessel P is the umbilical artery, and then blood vessel Q is the umbilical vein. Blood vessel P, an artery, Q, vein. Okay, then we move to question B. What name is given to the site of exchange of materials between the mother and the fetus? So it's called the placenta. We move to question C. Is the concentration of oxygen in blood P low or high? Give a reason for your answer. So for you to answer this question nicely, you just check where the arrow is going. So the arrow is coming from the fetus going to the mother. So this is a gas that has already been used by the fetus and is no longer in use. Okay, it is no longer in use. Just same applies to we human beings. We breathe in oxygen, which is very much important, and we breathe out carbon dioxide, which is not important. Same applies to this fetus. This fetus has already used oxygen, which entered at this position. After oxygen has been used, then that oxygen will turn to carbon dioxide, which is now not useful. Okay, so now the question is saying, is the concentration of oxygen high in blood vessel P? Is the concentration of oxygen in blood vessel P low or high? So we say the concentration of oxygen will be what? Will be low. Why? Because that blood that is coming from the fetus to the mother's bloodstream is deoxygenated, and then deoxygenated is the blood that contains low amount of oxygen. We move to question D. What is the fetus called after birth? What is the fetus called after birth? The fetus is called a baby or a newborn. Okay, question 8, the last one. Study the diagram below showing the male reproductive system. Question A. Name the part labeled V and U. Part V, sperm duct. Part U, the scrotum. Question B. Describe the function of part W. So the function of part W is to store sperm and allow them mature. Move to question C. Name one substance produced by organ labeled T. So we are saying sperm. Suggest what would happen when the substance produced by structure T you have mentioned in C above meets with the ovum in the fallopian tube. Okay, so what will happen if the sperm meets with the ovum in the fallopian tube? So we are simply saying fertilization will take place. Move to question E. Name the other substance that pass through R apart from the substance produced by T. So the answer there is urine. Then you're done answering these questions, as simple as that. So having answered exam past paper questions and explanation, you'll be assisted with one question of which you need to submit, but you don't have to submit your answers in the group. You just send them in my account, just inbox me, and then I'll get back to you. I'll mark and give you feedback. Question 1. Study the diagram below and answer the following questions. A. What is fertilization? B. Briefly describe how the embryo is formed after fertilization. C. Name part P and S. D. What is the function of liquid R? E. Which letter represents the site of exchange of gases between the embryo and the mother? The last one, F. What is the difference between the embryo and the fetus. What is the difference between the embryo and the fetus? Okay, now we come to an end to our science tutorial video. Thank you for watching. So let me just tell you the good part of videos. The good part of videos is that you can watch them several times at any time, okay, until you get the until you get the concept. So after passing through the video, then you pass through some pamphlets, or let's say a book, to be more like a to be more like a revision. So otherwise, thank you for watching once more again. It's your tutor, Mr. Peter. See you in the next video.